To start, you will need two 9 by 9 inch squares of fabric, two 8-inch strips of elastic, which can be substituted with hair ties, scissors, ruler, loop turner or safety pin, regular sewing pins, an iron, and your sewing machine. Once you cut out your 9-inch squares, you'll want to place them right sides together. We're going to be sewing along the edges on just two sides, so you'll want to place 3 pins on each side. Once your pins are in place, you can begin sewing. I'm going to sew 2 opposite sides of the square, starting and ending with a back stitch. Okay, now that you've sewn 2 opposing edges of the fabric, you can turn it right side out. You should have 2 edges that are open and 2 edges that are sewn closed. We're just going to press everything so it's nice and crisp. I'm placing a top stitch along the edges that are sewn closed to give the mask better structure and allow it to hold up through multiple washings. We finally made it to my favorite part of the project, pleating. Just kidding, this is definitely my least favorite part of the project, but you might like it. I'm just going to freestyle some pleats into the fabric and hope for the best. Please forgive me in advance for any unruly pleats. We survived the pleating. You'll notice that the fabric is now 3 inches wide, which will allow for a secure fit around the face. The next step is finishing the edges. We'll do a basting stitch to hold the fabric in place, and then finish with a serger or a zigzag stitch. Quick sewing lesson. A zigzag stitch looks like a zigzag. It's available on most sewing machines and prevents edges from fraying. A basting stitch is an extra long straight stitch. It holds fabric in place until you're ready to sew your final seam, like when you're making pleats. A serger stitch is made on a special machine. It creates a clean finished edge and cuts your fabric as you sew. If you don't have a serger, you can use a zigzag stitch. Now we can finish our raw edges. If you don't have a serger, you can use a zigzag stitch. We've pleated, basted, and serged, which means we can now create our casing. Simply fold over the finished edges, pin, and sew along the serger line. By running a straight stitch down the serged line, we've completed the casings for our mask. I'm going to show you 2 methods to install your elastic. The first method is with a loop turner. All you need to do is slide it through the casing, secure it to the elastic, and pull it back through. The second method is with a safety pin. You'll need to secure the safety pin to the end of the elastic and push it through the casing. And finally, sew the edges of your elastic together and you've got yourself a new mask.